Good evening, everybody. How's it going? Carl here with the ANZCAR Britsy Cup here at Kentucky Speedway, Kentucky. We're here tonight for, well, coming towards the end of the season now, the end of the regular season, coming towards the end of, the season in general. We're coming up to the chase very soon. We've only got 5 races after this one, of course, and then we are into the chase itself. So that will be a very, very interesting one when we get there. Of course, we do have a couple of rounds still coming up in New Hampshire, Michigan, Watkins Glen, of course, for the last road course of the season. Well, the season before the chase, that is. Dover, and then finally Daytona on August 20th. And then we'll be off to Darlington on the 27th of August for the chase beginning. Qualifying's just wrapping up here, so the grid is going to start setting itself out. Before we go to that, though, we will just quickly double check on everything, make sure everything's actually working. That's hopefully going to be the case. So if there's any audio issues, things like that, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I am on my own tonight up in the stream, so it does make things a little bit tricky sometimes. So let me know if there's any troubles there. But before we go to the grid, we'll just quickly go through the top 10 in the championship. So Michael Scurlock's taking the lead ahead of Danny G, Edward Foster in 3rd, Josh Mickelmore 4th, Jason Martin 5th, 6th is Hamish Gallagher, 7th is Norman Clark, 8th is Jason Hartigan, 9th is Matthew Clewett, and 10th is Matt Hunter. So going well for them. It's nice to see Matt Hunter up there as well. Fantastic job Matt has done over the years. Very, very, very handy guy to have on the team back in the day. Did a lot of work for us and got all of the lovely overlays you're seeing here tonight working. Of course, we are using the slightly older overlays as well tonight. So let's just quickly have a look at everything. So do forgive me as I just click through and get everything on the right setting. So let's have a little look at the grid. So on row 1, we have Jason Martin with Josh Mickelmore. Row 2, we have Michael Scurlock with Jason Hartigan. Row 3 is Edward Foster and Danny G. Row 4 is Matthew Clewett with Stephen Williams. Row 5 is Danny Albon and Lachlan. Row 6 is Mirko Dortnack with Stephen Clark. Row 7 is Bradley Allison with Norman Clark. Row 8 is Mick Wilson with Raymond Yeager. Row 9 is Phil Otto with Nathan Clive. Row 10 is Brandon Bartlett with Darren Bumfield. Row 11 is Ayrton Smith with Devon Stove. Row 12 is Parry and Billy Hickey. Row 13 is Patterson and Clark. And on the end is Aidan Schultz there. So as they get ready, they start going off. Everybody starts moving away and getting to their positions. We will try and get onto the leader. Once my system has sorted itself out, do forgive me here, things are a little bit wonky at the moment. Just have to forgive me as things are just getting set up here still. Sorry, last minute emergency stream putting on, so things are just a little bit off at the moment, so sorry about that in advance, but hopefully we'll be up for a good race here tonight. So as they come round for their warm-up lap here tonight, we are looking for a good one here tonight. Obviously the Mitch Motorsport boys are going to want to do well. Jason Martin's going to lead away the field, and we are going to go green very shortly here. And away they go with Jason Martin in the lead. There we go. My system has updated itself. Jason Martin getting a great lead there. Josh Micklemore falling back a little bit. Michael Skurlock getting a fantastic pounce there, getting up ahead with Edward Foster there battling with Josh Micklemore. Great side-by-side action here at the moment as Martin takes it through. Edward Foster going down on the low side, trying to get past Micklemore. He's going to lose some time there, unfortunately. He's fallen back. Micklemore now getting onto the back of Skurlock, and we are getting ready for this race. Everything is starting to go, and we'll see the cars file into a single file formation soon, no doubt. Kentucky is one of those tracks that's a little bit tricky to run side by side sometimes. You've got to be a little bit careful here. It's not the easiest track to run on. And Skurlock's going down the inside of Martin at the moment, getting into the lead as you see Micklemore there, taking his teammate as well, getting through there. Martin's going to want to slide down, slot into that place just behind him so he doesn't lose more positions. And he's done it well indeed. Jason Hartigan sticking on the back there as well as Matthew Cluett. Great start by those guys. Looks like Edward Foster's had a bit of a terror start. He's dropped down to 9th place at the moment. So a rough start for Foster, but Skurlock is in the lead at the moment. Great job for Skurlock. And you get a bit of a look here at Kentucky. This is a relatively flat oval. It's not the highest banking out there, and that can sometimes cause a little bit of trouble. It's a little bit tricky to run here. You've got to lift as you go into the corners a little tiny bit just to get the car right. The back end will step out a bit for you sometimes. You've got to be ready to catch it. It's one of those tracks that's a little bit tricky, a little bit like Darlington, in the fact that it's a relatively flat oval here. And we see in the background Jason Martin, Josh Micklemore and the group starting to have a great battle there with Jason Hartigan as well as Matthew Cluett coming up. Danny G just sitting a little bit further back with Stephen Williams just next to him. So we've had some good laps here so far. Green flag running for 7 laps. I don't want to curse myself too quickly, of course, because as soon as I do that, things will go wrong. We don't want to see that happening. We've got a bumper field out there tonight, though, with a good 30-plus cars running tonight. So good to see so many people out there in action. Of course, people wanting to get in for the chase, wanting to lock themselves in to that final part of the season. And a fair few people just wanting to get a win under their name for the Abruzzi Cup Series. It's a relatively prestigious series, if we don't say so myself, of course, but it's got some of the best oval races in Australia, as we see every week. It's a hard championship to win in sometimes, with people like Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin up at the front, but not impossible to take those positions away from them. We have seen so far Skurlock, Hartigan, Danny G taking wins. There's been some great drives this year, and we've seen a couple of drivers get their first wins with Hamish Gallagher, for instance. So it has been great seeing some new drivers get up there. It's not the easiest championship to win in because it is so close out there. These guys do not give an inch. There is always hard racing, but it is fair racing. You can see in the background there, Foster just starting to creep up on Danny G as well, regaining positions. The car's going wide there. Stephen Williams cutting down the inside, just behind Danny G there. A great battle going on for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Lots of positions down there to go for. Always tricky to know where to watch, of course. That's the hard bit. We'll be keeping it on the leaders for the moment, though, just because there is such great action up the front here. What we like to see, lap 10 goes by, as Danny G is battling off a ravenous pack behind him with Stephen Williams, and Danny G just clipping the barrier there, I think. Just taking a little bit of a crunch into the barrier, I believe I heard there. A little side swipe there. Very easy to do here at Kentucky. As I say, a very flat oval. It can cause a lot of problems, and it's very easy to run up wide. Just trying to have a look there, see if there's any damage on the side of that car. I did hear a crunch, but I didn't see exactly who it was, though, unfortunately. It's tricky watching everything and doing the cameras at the same time sometimes. Just around the outside there, we've got Matthew Clewitt and Stephen Williams battling hard. Good move by Clewitt there, getting up on the high line. Stephen Williams is going to battle him very, very hard on the low line, though. That low line tends to work better. Clewitt has to avoid a little bit from Stephen Williams as he loses the car a little bit, runs up high. Great driving there. They go free wide for a moment across the start-finish straight. Foster is now looking to get in on that action. He has Stephen Clark just behind him on his tail. A little bit further back is Bradley Allison. We've got a couple of new names up there again. Nice to see with Stephen Clark. He's been relatively new to the series, but he has been doing some great drives, especially in the truck series, I believe it was, or it was the nationwide. I think actually he managed to get up in the top 5. So good running from Stephen Clark as he does go pretty much free wide, getting up alongside Foster, trying to get a bit of a tow from Matthew Clewitt. Doesn't work out for him. He's going to have to drop back, and that's going to lead him out. Up at the front, we've got more action, though, as Jason Martin and Jason Hartigan have now taken the lead. Fantastic job by those drivers. Michael Skurlock just running a little bit further back now. Maybe he pushed a little bit too hard and too fast on those tyres. Very easy to do. It's very easy to cause issue with those tyres, of course. Tyres can be the driver's weakness in this oval racing, and with constant changes to the tyre model and physics, it can throw you out quite quickly, and we have seen a few drivers have to, well, adapt to the style. Jason Hartigan going down the inside of Martin there. Martin running up high. This is going to give Hartigan a good chance, as well as Micklemore just behind him. Will Micklemore be able to pounce on this by Martin? No, he doesn't. Martin's getting back, though. He's got back into the toe of Hartigan. Will he be able to make this one stick? It's a JP Simshed Mitch Motorsport running team with Pace Syndicate in 4th place, and then another Mitch Motorsport car in 5th place. The teams are showing up here at the moment. Jason Martin goes down the inside of Hartigan there. Fantastic little opportunity. Is he going to be able to make the most of it, though? Hartigan's going to run up high. Micklemore's behind him. Hartigan looks like he's still got that position. Will Martin be able to get past? Doesn't look like it at the moment, as they're getting that second groove running for this race. And the caution is out. We've got a caution flag. Looks like it was Bill Hickey. See if we can catch that one. We'll go back and see if we can catch what happened there. And it doesn't look like it's going to show up for me. Said that was it, but no, it does not look like it is. We'll jump back to the leaders, though. So I believe that was Billy Hickey there, just getting into trouble. We'll see if we can find him down in the pack, see if there's much damage to the car. Doesn't look too bad from here. Doesn't look like there's much damage. May have just been a bit of an off. A little bit hard to see from these angles sometimes, though. It was the 91 by the look of it. That has got some damage on it, and that will be Darren Brumfield. I believe Darren Brumfield might have been the one to bring out that caution. But up at the front, they are coming in for their pit stops. They come in one by one. Pit lane is going to get very, very busy here very, very shortly. Who will win the race off of pit lane? Let's have a look, see how people are going. A few have stayed out there, though. A few people rolling the dice here a little bit, staying out, but the leaders have all come in. And it looks like Matthew Clerk got a fantastic run there off the pit road. Matthew Clerk taking the effective lead of those guys that pitted, with Jason Martin just behind him. Jason Hartigan, Josh Micklemore, Michael Skurlock. We'll remove that window. There we go. And Stephen Williams and Danny G there. So those guys got those pits done. Staying out, though, is Bradley Allison, Brendan Barlett, Ayrton Smith, Devon Stove, Nathan Clive, Riley Curtis, and Billy Hickey. Those guys are staying out. They're going to be on those slightly worn tyres. Now, being nighttime, of course, the track temperature is not as high as it would be in daytime, of course, obviously. That makes perfect sense. But that means tyre wear doesn't tend to be as bad. You will still have tyre wear, of course, though. That is one of the big things. Tyre wear is still a factor, of course, and it will cause some issues for drivers sometimes. But we'll have to see how this goes for Bradley Allison on that restart. See if things actually work out there and end up going in his favour. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. And we'll see how this goes on the restart. And as they come round, the cars collecting behind the pace car, getting ready to resume green flag racing. We had a nice bit of green flag stint there. I imagine the drivers will be quite happy to come in and get some new boots on the car. Of course, they do only have 4 sets of tyres to go through. So that is one of the big things in the Cup now, because of the new tyre rules that, of course, go for the real World Cup. You can now put them in iRacing and actually have single tyre, you can actually set to 4 tyres. So that means the drivers have got to think strategically. Being that we've only done 20 laps of 133, could the leaders have come in a little bit too soon there and caused themselves some trouble for later down the path as we go later into this race? If we get a few cautions and they need to come in for a couple of stops, they could find themselves lacking a fresh set of boots towards the end of the race, whereas the guys that stayed out might be able to snag themselves some and find themselves getting a few positions. So it'll be another couple of times around this track and a few moments around the circuit, of course, just to get everybody set in position and get lucky dogs and things like that all filled out. Not that anyone was a lap down, I think. So I think pretty much everybody was on the lead lap there. So not much in the way of lucky dogs having to go past. But we will obviously get everything back racing very shortly, back to the usual pace of the race, and hopefully we'll get another good green flag run like we had before. It's what we want to see in these cars, of course. The pace cars' lights have gone out, so we'll be going back to green after this time round, so not long until that green flag drops again. Will Bradley Allison's gamble pay off here, along with the others that stayed out? Of the ones that stayed out, Bradley Allison, Riley Curtis, the most experienced of the group. Will the gamble pay off for them, or will it come back to bite them? Obviously, fresher tyres are going to give you a little bit better traction out of the corner, and that's going to give you better pace down the straight. The drivers start lining up side by side now, getting ready for that restart. Bradley Allison's going to lead them away. How will this restart go? It's going to be interesting to see here at Kentucky. Of course, this is the legacy track as well, so it's a little bit bumpy. It throws you out a little bit too sometimes. It can be tricky to get it absolutely right. But when you do get it right, it feels fantastic. Now, obviously, if you're looking at getting into driving for ANZCAR and you want to join these boys out on the track, well, boys and girls, out on the track, you can always join our feeder series, of course. We have the Trucks Racing and also the Nationwide Series. Sorry, the Grand National Series. My brain went dead there for a moment. The feeder series, of course, being the trucks, run on Monday night. The Nationwide Series, sorry, the Grand National Series running on a Wednesday. As we go back to green, how will this risk pay off for Bradley Allison? That's the big question here tonight. You can see those cars that came in for that tyre stop will probably have a little bit more grip as they go into the corners here. Jason Martin, the leader of those cars. You can see Matthew Cluett there on the back of Riley Curtis. The cars that stayed out are probably going to be a little bit wild on this first couple of laps as the tyres have to come back in. So you've got cars out there on some very different stints. And you can see they're 3-4 wide as we come across the start-finish line as the 56 is hit by the 93 there. The 56 holding on by the looks of things. Looks like we're going to stay green. So that's what's good. What we want to see there is that green flag racing. 56 just getting a little bit of a bump from Riley Curtis, I believe. And just going across the infield there. Managed to keep the car going. And you can see a few of those cars just running up wide as Michael Skurlock gets hit. How's Skurlock going to hold that one? Michael Skurlock running across the infield there. He's coming back onto the track. Looks like everything's semi-okay up there. Bradley Allison is still leading at the moment, but Jason Martin is chasing these guys down. Along with Hartigan, the two Jasons are flying up there, along with Cluett. They are really coming up fast, and you can see the difference those fresh tyres make. Those fresher tyres are causing these cars to go a heck of a lot faster, and they've managed to get themselves a bit of a gap here. Stephen Clark as well up there in the 96 car. Getting himself up into a good position at the moment, and they've got themselves a good gap from the other cars that came in for the pit stop. Just because of those cars on those slightly worn tyres, almost being mobile chicanes, pretty tricky to get past. They still have speed, of course, in a straight line, but it's when you come off the corner, that's where the speed is lost, and that's where you'll see these guys gaining and having better pace. You can see the battle a little bit further back as Norman Clark goes down the inside of Foster with Devon Stove on the outside. There is action all across the grid at the moment. It's hard to know where to look, really, as Jason Martin has taken the lead now, along with Hartigan and Stephen Clark. You can just see these guys checking out with Micklemore and Cluett running behind them. Bradley Allison, you can see, just dropping back into the grasp of people like Danny G and Norman Clark. Those guys that did come in for a stop. You can really see the difference those tyres make. Would have been good for Allison to get a couple of laps led there, but this could be devastating for the race as we see one of the cars in the mid-pack getting a little bit wide there. Few people just getting a bit loose at the moment. I believe it was Devon Stove there just getting a very big tank slapper on through the midfield there. Lucky to catch that one. Great recovery. Well, great save there, basically. It's not an easy thing to do in these cars, of course. Saving them in a spin is trickier than it seems. If ever you've had a tank slapper in a car, or if you've ever had a case of aquaplaning or anything like that, you'll know how tricky it can be to keep that car pointing straight. As Norman Clark is on the move now, going down the inside of Matthew Cluett. Foster, his teammate, just behind him. The two JP Simshed cars are looking very speedy out there tonight. Up at the front, another JP Simshed car that's looking good is that of Jason Hartigan. He's managed to get past that of Jason Martin in the Mitch Motorsport car, although Martin is going to come back for a bit of a fight. Stephen Clark doing a fantastic job in the 96 as well, getting there between Micklemore and his teammate. Great driving from Clark. It's good to see some new faces in the series and doing well up the top of the field. Meanwhile, towards the back, not towards the back, a little bit further back I should say, we got Danny G, Norman Clark and Edward Foster there battling away. Micklemore has managed to make it past Clark now, as the leaders start moving away. You can see Foster and Norman Clark there having a bit of a fight, trying to get on the back of Danny G and get some passing done. They're going to want to try and catch up to these leaders. As I said, they did manage to get a bit of a jump there and get a little bit of a lead over the remaining cars. They've got around about a 1.5 second, a 2.5 second lead over these cars of Danny G, Foster and Norman Clark. Jason Hartigan still in the lead, keeping that of Jason Martin just behind him. A little bit further back, we've got Riley Curtis, one of the other cars that stayed out, and they're falling into the grasp of some other cars. You've got Michael Skurlock on the recovery now, working his way back up the field very well. He managed to get the car back on the island and get it pointing forwards. He's up to 11th now. Great little bit of recovery from Skurlock, and he's going to want to get up in those points as well. He's going to want to try and keep the lead of the championship. He's got Mirko Dortnak in front of him, and Roger Clark in the 60 in front of them. Meanwhile, the battle for 5th is still going on. As you can see now, Danny G is starting to catch up to those cars. It looks like Foster, Danny G and Norman Clark are not battling each other too much to try and catch up to the cars in front, because if they start fighting with each other, they will lose pace on these guys up ahead. That of Jason Hartigan and Jason Martin. And the battle for 10th place now starts to heat up as Skurlock and Dortnak are having a great little battle with Roger Clark in the background there. Riley Curtis as well in the mix. But it looks like Skurlock's managed to get out up front. These guys are going to want to start working together as well, start clawing their way back up, try and get close to the rest of the field, who are within a second of each other now. From 1st to 7th, Norman Clark, they're within 1 second of each other. It's one of those things on oval racing, you forget how quick these things are. You forget how long a second is sometimes. It may seem like a very short amount of time, but it is a lifetime in one of these cars. Dropping back is Danny Albin. He's now down into 12th place. About to get pounced on by Roger Clark, as well as Phil Otto and Darren Brumfield. Meanwhile, at the front, the two Jasons are battling it out. Jason Hartigan first, Martin second, Micklemore third, Clark fourth, Danny G in fifth, with Foster following him. Norman Clark following him. Matthew Cluett a bit further back now. Excuse me. Matthew Cluett falling a bit further back, coming into the grasp of recovering Michael Skurlock, who's made a fantastic recovery there, getting back up to speed and managing to claw his way back up the field to get into the top 9 already. Michael Skurlock is a man on a mission at the moment. Remember, he did have those lead laps earlier on. He's definitely got some speed in that car. Now, as everybody starts to sort themselves out and things start to settle back into a bit of a routine, we can have a little bit look through the field. So down in 16th place, we have Hamish Gallagher. He's having a battle with Aidan Schultz. A little bit further back, unseen by me, but Stephen Williams has dropped right back, unfortunately. He was up there battling with some of the guys before. He's dropped down to 24th position now. Quite a bit further back for Williams. Do have to apologise. The driver profile is a little bit out of date. I'm using some outdated software here at the moment. But things remain unchanged up the front as the two Jasons are still leading with Micklemore in third, fourth Danny G, fifth is Stephen Clark. Again, a fantastic drive by Stephen Clark there. Foster just starting to gain on him. You can see Clark just going for a bit of a move on Danny G now. Well, sorry, Danny G going for a bit of a move on Clark, sorry. It wouldn't be a stream for the ANZCAR Cup if I didn't get at least a couple of things wrong. But of course, as I was saying just at the end of the caution period, if you do feel like joining the guys out on track, come and join us in the Trucks and the Grand National Series. The Grand National, of course, racing the 87 cars. Absolutely brilliant fun. Those things are complete beasts and monsters. Very, very tricky to drive, but very rewarding at the same time. And of course, on Monday night, we have the Truck Series, which again is one of those series that is extremely good for learning. It's a great way of getting yourself into these cars and getting yourself into the sort of championship. We always advise taking out those lower series, having a bit of a go in those before you jump in these cup cars, because these are the top, the pinnacle of the oval racing, the stock car racing circuit, and can be very tricky for newcomers to get used to, of course. So always have a go in the feeder series before you jump in, because it does help you learn a lot. And that's something I've been doing this year. I've been racing the trucks and, of course, the Grand National car, and that's been something a little bit different for me, giving me a bit of experience out on the track, which is obviously needed, but very handy indeed as we come up behind the first of our lapped cars. I believe that will be, trying to have a look, sorry, my timing screen's a little bit off at the moment. Billy Hickey there, I think, coming up behind Billy Hickey. The two Jasons go down the inside, Hickey giving them a nice wide berth there, letting them get through. Obviously, pay the leaders respect, because you don't want to ruin somebody else's race. It's always a bad feeling when that happens. But it's a skill that you need to learn, of getting through these lapped cars, and of course being lapped by these cars. When the leaders start to come up on you, it is a very threatening sight. You start seeing them in your rearview mirror, and it can become quite daunting for you. So, of course, we say when you're out in the feeder series, especially in the trucks, it gives you great experience to learn not how to race people, not just how to be fast, but also how to get past, how to pass people, and just general oval etiquette as well. All very useful things to have out here on these ovals, of course. It is a very different kind of racing to that of road racing and street racing. These cars are very different to your normal stock cars as well. They're not like a touring car. They're not like a V8 supercar. They're not, well, supercar as it is nowadays. They're a very different kind of stock car. They are very tricky to drive. A lot of horsepower, not much in the way of science in these cars. They have an ECU and that's about it. A bit of downforce and the rest is up to you. We'll just jump on board Jason Martin right now. Have a look as he's starting to make a little bit of a move on Hartigan right now. But the big thing we like to say about the stock car is you look at the interior of it. The wheel doesn't have any fancy knobs or gizmos on it. It is just literally a wheel to make the car go left or right. And then you've got lots of switches to turn it on and off, and then a gear stick. Not complicated, but very hard to drive these things. You can just see here, Martin just trying to probe for an attack on Hartigan right now. He's trying to see where he's weakest, seeing where a good attack will come from. As Hartigan tries to keep that lower line covered. He wants to try and keep Martin from going down that lower line, getting inside of him and pushing him up high. A great tactic to get up underneath people, of course. If you can get underneath them in the first corner, you can actually push them up a little bit high. You can see as well in the view up ahead, there are a lot of lapped cars coming up. We see somebody going off to the left into pit lane there, as Hartigan gets up very close to the wall there, almost touching it. Michael Shaw going into pit lane there, getting out the way of the leaders, coming in to get some fresh tyres probably and a bit of fuel. Jason Martin's got a good run here. Hartigan goes up high. Martin comes down. What a beautiful move. Looks like they're side by side right now. This is going to help. There's a slight touch there between the two Jasons. Front right on rear left. Both of them keep it straight, but Martin has lost a little bit of time there, and that's going to allow his teammates to get up and over him. You see Josh Micklemore here going side by side. Will he be able to get past his teammate? Not quite yet. Martin's still got some pace in there. All three of these drivers are very strong. Micklemore, Martin and Danny G, of course. Very hard drivers to beat. And we said when they first announced their team, a bit of a super team in all honesty. And they have been that this season. They have been having some fantastic results. It's not always been there for Martin. He's had some bad luck and some unfortunate incidents this season. But it's started to come his way towards the end of the year. Josh Micklemore's managed to get past. Looks like Danny G's going to get past Martin now. Did Martin get a little bit of damage in that contact? That could make a bit of difference here. Depending on how hard that bump was, that can make a big difference. Sometimes it can throw the steering out a little bit. And that is a big effect when you're driving one of these cars. It really does change things up and make it very tricky to drive, of course. Not the most fun thing to drive at the best of times, but when you've got damage on them, they are absolutely horrid. You can see going past one of the DPR cars there. I believe it's Stephen Williams who's trying to get back on the lead lap now. I think Williams may have actually come in for some tyres. Just trying to have a little bit of a look through my mass and mess of timing screens. So yeah, Stephen Williams out on fresh tyres at the moment. And you can see the difference that's making. Coming in for that pit stop, put him down a little bit, but being on those fresh tyres now, he's going to actually be able to make a bit of an undercut on people, and that could start making him up some positions. The leaders are going to have to look at those lap times and start thinking about pitting at some stage. Michael Skurlock is out there, sorry. It said pit lane on my readout, sorry about that. But Hartigan is still in the lead here as we've got lapped cars coming back past him now as they've come in for fresh tyres. They've got that nice sticky rubber on their boots, and that's allowing them to grip and get around these corners, getting much better traction off the corner as well, giving them a much better speed for this track. Jason Martin dropping back a little bit. Has he worn his tyres out a little bit? Stephen Clark sitting there just behind him in 5th place. A great drive from Clark today. Again, a good up-and-comer here. We've seen him do well in the Cup and the Grand National Series. Foster there behind him. Again, Foster's had a hat-trick of wins in the Grand National Series these past weeks. But the Cup seems to be eluding him. His strength has been dependable finishes. Norman Clark just behind him. But up front, we see a couple of cars actually just going off there. The Tristan Koch, I believe, was just going off a little bit there as they were going into pit lane. Luckily, managed to catch it, so we didn't get a caution coming out. See, Bradley Allison's come in for to the pit road now as well. A few cars are starting to come into the pit lane. Ayrton Smith, though, is still out there on those original tyres. A great drive from Ayrton Smith in the 64. Stealing my number there. But Ayrton Smith there in the 64 doing a great job at the moment to keep up pace. He's 17th at the moment, but the fact he's still able to keep going on those initial set of tyres is fairly hardy work. Jason Hartigan up there in 1st place in the 051, of course. He's still leading this race. Those guys did come in on lap 20. They've been out there for almost 40 laps now. Those tyres are going to start hurting soon, though. And they're going to want to start thinking about a pit stop. Jason Martin is starting to get the pace back on his teammate of Danny J, getting up underneath behind him and getting a good bit of tow here. Martin might have just overheated his tyres slightly and just needed them to cool down a little bit before he could go back on the attack. Maybe those tyres have just come back into it for him and are starting to work. We'll have to see how that pays off for him as the time goes on. And a slow car down there on the infield there, just going around. Didn't catch who that was. I think it might have been Darren Stove coming in. But the leaders are still out there. Drivers are starting to catch each other as well, as Foster's starting to catch onto the back of Stephen Clark now in the 96 car. Just behind them, you've got the 56 of... I believe that's... trying to see who that was now. But a car that's a lap down. Just getting those fresh tyres, though, and managing to keep out there. Hartigan, though, doing a great job at the front still. Doing a fantastic drive at the moment, Jason Hartigan. Really putting in the pace. We've seen Hartigan take a win this year as well. Of course, Jason Hartigan coming into the series at the tail end of last year and being very fast straight off the... well, onto the track, really. Road racer, predominantly. He's adapted very well to these ovals. He is an absolute danger out there, as we see the 197 there getting a little bit loose in front of him, and that's where the danger comes in. As you're passing cars, it can get very, very dangerous as Patterson just gets a little bit wide there. And this is where accidents can happen. As the leaders come up on these much faster cars, it can really start causing trouble for these guys. Just watching down the field, seeing who we've got around out there. Josh Micklemore is now catching on to Jason Hartigan. Will he be able to get past? Has Jason Hartigan having to ease off a little bit just because he's been running out there up the front for this whole time? Fuel is not too much of an issue here. You should get around about 70 to 80 laps with a full tank without too much trouble. But tyre wear could be starting to set in for him, as he's been setting some extreme pace out there all night long. As we see the 56 going a little bit wide there. Did he manage to hold it? Braden Bartlett there just getting a little bit loose there as the leaders went past him. That would have been a very, very tense moment. As they come streaming past those guys. These leaders are staying out there. The 03 now getting underneath these guys. The 03, of course, coming in and having those slightly fresher tyres. Really helping out at the moment. Bradley Allison, of course. He's come in only 13 laps ago. He was one of the guys that stayed out there. But he is making some good pace. He's getting his lap back at the moment. And that can be very, very important. If you can get that lap back, you are looking good. And you can see him now getting onto the back of Hartigan. Will he get past here? It looks like he's going to make it. Bradley Allison does. Underneath, he just zooms straight past. You can see the traction there. He's just got so much more speed as he gets off the corner onto the straight. Hartigan still holding on, keeping Josh Micklemore at bay at the moment. And if you do feel like seeing... Is that Jason Martin going up a bit high there? Jason Martin going very wide there. Don't know if he caught the wall there at all. See if we can see anything on there. Because he looked like he was going up there. He managed to save it just in time by the looks of it. But at the moment, it's Hartigan and Micklemore having a great battle out there. And the caution is out. We've got a caution out. See what I can find on that one. You have to forgive me, I don't have my usual bits on here. Not finding who that was, sorry, I do apologise for that. But this is going to allow the leaders to come in and get their pit stop done. And that's going to be crucial for them. Just seeing if I can work out who that was just on timing screens. So it's a little bit tricky when you're on your own to do this because you lose a lot of your eyes around. So we've got the leader coming into pit road right now. We will switch to the pit lane camera, see where they come out. So they're going to come into the pit road right now. This is going to be absolutely vital for these guys. It's going to really help them out. A guy that's going to benefit from this, though, is going to be Danny Albon, of course. Sorry, not Danny Albon. Bradley Allison, that's one, sorry. I always get them mixed up. Bradley Allison, he managed to get his lap back, of course, and he's going to be able to get back on the leaders. So they come out the pit lane. It looks like Hartigan managed to keep the lead there. Great job from Hartigan. Micklemore just behind him, and it's a Midge Motorsport 2-3-4 at the moment. Stephen Clark keeping behind the Midge Motorsport boys. Edward Foster just behind him with Norman Clark there at the background as well. No relation to Stephen Clark there. It's Roger Clark and Norman Clark that are related, not Stephen Clark. It's Clark with an E, not with a K at the end. So good job on the pit lane by all of those guys. Did a really good job to get back out there, and it's going to be very, very useful, of course, for Hartigan. It's going to pay dividends for him because he's going to be able to pit and come back on the lead. Now, big question is, will we see Bradley Allison come in again? It looks like he's staying out there. We might see him come in when he's managed to catch up to the rest of the drivers. Try and chuck some fresh boots on there. Just depends where he is. He might be getting the lucky dog, though. I'm just trying to figure out where everybody is on the track now. That's the fun part. But currently, our leader is that of Hartigan in the 051, having a fantastic drive out there. Very strong performance tonight for Hartigan. But he has the three Midge Motorsport boys of Micklemore, Danny G, and Jason Martin sitting in his rearview mirror, and that is never a fun thing to have. Those guys are all very quick, and they are all racing for the chase, of course. They're all within a shout of it. The lowest position for that team is that of Jason Martin in 5th place. Jason Hartigan, of course, he's down in 8th, so a win here could really boost his hopes and chances of getting into the chase, of course. Now, we do have drop rounds coming up and things like that, but we will get into that when we get into it. Not something we need to worry about tonight, thankfully. So we should see these guys getting the wave around on the pace car. So the leaders can get back up there shortly as everything starts to sort itself out. We're on lap 71 of 133. of the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup here on Simshed Broadcasting. Hartigan is going to want to get another good restart though. It's a lot of pressure on him, of course. Because not far behind him is a gaggle of Mitch Motorsport cars who are all very hungry to take that position from him. Of course, the other thing you get at these later stages of the race are those lovely marbles. You can see the little black specks all across the car there. Those are little splicks of rubber that come up and go across the track, and they cause marbles all across the, well, the non-racing line, of course, all offline for you. So when you come into a corner, if you come in too hot, get caught out on those marbles, things are going to go wrong for you very, very quickly. We've seen it in the past as well, and it can get very tricky on some of these circuits. Circuits like Kentucky, which have you can get too wide here without too much issue, but you do have to be careful. You can get quite a bit of marbling coming up. Quite a bit of debris on the circuit as the cars that were just about a lap down, just in front of the leaders, get waved past the pace car now. We're going to start forming up, ready for this race to restart. This gives those guys a good chance to get back onto the tail of these leaders, get back into the fight of things. But at the moment, it's all eyes on Jason Hartigan. Will he be able to pull off another restart and get back in the lead? A lot of hungry cars behind him. He's got to do it all over again, of course. Get back in the lead. Start putting the pace of this race for himself so he can set everything for him. Just looking down a little bit, just a good run up for Phil Otto there and Hamish Gallagher, who's sitting in 8th. Pace car is in. Jason Hartigan's going to lead off as we go back to green here at Kentucky Speedway for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. A great restart for Jason Hartigan. Jason Martin does not have the best restart there, a bit slow off there. The two Mitch Motorsport cars of Micklemore and Danny G have a better restart, however. Stephen Clark doing well. Micklemore just running out a little bit wide at the moment. Slotting into position. They're going to start drafting a little bit to try and catch up to that leader. We can see Clark and Foster having a bit of a battle here. Foster wants to desperately get in front of Stephen Clark, who's shown a lot of pace here tonight. But he wants to be able to slot in there in front of him. It looks like he might be able to do that, as he does. He gets past, slotting himself in front there. Hamish Gallagher just off the back of Clark now. Up the front, Jason Hartigan has managed to have a good run off. Jason Martin has lost a bit of time there, falling back to Foster. And the caution is out again, unfortunately. We've got another caution. See if we can find that one on the replays. Just trying to have a little bit of a look back, see what happened there. Unfortunately, can't find the exact incident on the screens, but somebody going off, and that's brought out the caution again. So we're going to go back under the pace car. Won't be as long as last time because everybody's going to be in their sort of positions now. We might see Riley Curtis getting the lucky dog, though, getting himself back on the lead lap. Just looking down there, Skurlock has got it's dropped down to 13th at the moment. He's got to work his way back up there. Just in front of him is Parry Anatkanakis. And I think it might have been Danny Albon who had a moment there. Or he's coming in for a fresh set of boots, one or the other. So Danny Albon coming in. He's going to be coming in for a fresh set of boots, I think, unless he's got some damage. A little bit of damage to the DPR car there as well, of Stephen Williams maybe. Coming into the pit lane, these guys coming in for some fresh tyres. Not much difference for stints, but those slightly fresher tyres will help a little bit in overall for you. And when you're down in those sort of positions, a little bit further back towards the end of the lead cars, it can be quite useful to just chuck a fresh set of boots on there, just so you have a chance to get yourself back into the race. Of course, it can be a very useful thing to do. Just having that slightly fresher set of tyres to help you out, as we're on lap 76 here of 133 here at Kentucky Speedway for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. And Hartigan remains in the lead at the moment. I believe we will see just behind him is Danny G, Josh Micklemore, and then sitting just back there is that of Jason Martin. Just on the back though is Edward Foster. Had some quite quick times in practice tonight. Had quite a good long pace for himself. Could see him starting to play a little bit more of a role here. Stephen Clark having a fantastic run, as said before. Great couple of weeks for Stephen Clark in the series. Giving himself a real good boost and showing himself to all the teams out there. Hamish Gallagher as well. Hamish Gallagher making up 21 positions so far this race. Getting up there into 7th position. Absolutely brilliant drive for Hamish Gallagher with the Taylor Swift livery car, of course. I believe his favourite singer. We won't hold that against him. He's been having some fantastic rides out there, though. Of course, taking his maiden win in the Cup this season. Just behind him is Norman Clark, veteran of motorsport that he is. Phil Otto as well, working himself up the field a bit, getting up into 9th. 10th place is Mirko Dornak with Raymond Jaeger just behind him. Ayrton Smith is 12th in the 64. With Rossi Johnson in 13th in the 33. A little bit of damage to that car though. But Jason Hartigan just has to do it all over again. He has to go back to reset, getting back to the starting process of the caution flag. And having to do it once again, having to make a good leap on those guys. And it's not an easy thing to do on veterans of ovals. They do know what they're doing. It's never easy to get the drop on them. And the beautiful view of the pace car there. Not something you want to see in a race generally. Never fun to be behind it. It's a little bit easier to take when you're the one directly behind it. Depending on which stage of the race it is, of course. But now Jason Hartigan has to reset himself. The JP Simshed driver doing very well this season, as I said before. Making up those positions, taking out his maiden win this season as well. He's going to want to try and get another one under his belt. Of course, behind him is his teammate Foster, who's going to want to try and finally get that win in the Cup Series this season. It's been a very good year for him for points and finish-wise, but not for wins. So a few hungry drivers back there. Stephen Clark, could he pull something out of the bag tonight? We've seen he's got pace. Been very good up at the front of the field for a couple of races now, Stephen Clark. learning the craft, getting very much into the swing of things as they start going side by side once more. And we'll just bring up the timing tower, just have a quick look across the field there. We're going down to 29th, which I believe is Roger Clark at the moment. So you can see all the cars all stacked up there. We'll go back to the top ticker as we're coming back to the start-finish straight. Pace car is going to come in. We're going to go back to green flag racing here at Kentucky. When will Hartigan drop the pedal? He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting, and he drops it. Gets a good restart. Manages to get himself a nice bit of a gap between himself and Danny G there. Foster getting a very good restart as well. Crucially, will he be able to make some positions up? He's got past Jason Martin. Sorry to get you all dizzy there. Got past Jason Martin there and put himself up into fourth. Jason Martin about to get swallowed up by Hamish Gallagher and Stephen Clark, but they're starting to get a run on Foster. The two Mitch Motorsport cars of Micklemore and Danny G are coming up fast and hard onto the back of Hartigan. He's going to have to go about defending once more, but we've seen Hartigan's been quite good at that, making his car as wide as possible across the track. Been doing a great job of that. And the caution flag is out again, unfortunately. Cautions breeding cautions. Looks like Danny Albon might have been the one involved in that one. Quickly go back and see if I can catch what happened there. Not Danny Albon, sorry. Bradley Allison, I think it was. I keep mixing them up. Let's see if we can get that one back for us. See if we can catch what happened there. Oh, it looks like, yes, contact there as they were going free wide. A DPR car going into the side of Bradley Allison. A huge crash there. Quite a few cars getting caught up in that one, unfortunately. It looks like Stephen Williams was the DPR car there. Quite a bit of damage to his car as well. It would have been a hefty hit there. And that's going to cause some serious damage on the front end of those cars. So we're back behind the pace car. Unfortunately, the old adage of cautions breeding cautions is coming true, as it so often does. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Cautions breed cautions. Sorry, excuse me for the coughs. Usually I can mute these out, but unfortunately on my own tonight, so not a chance. But cautions breed cautions, of course. We say it a lot in endurance racing because you see the cars losing tyre pressure as they go through a caution period. The cars get a bit tricky to run with, and then you get problems. So I imagine we're going to see a few cars coming into pit lane and just quickly reshuffling themselves because the ANZCAR, sorry, the iRacing system there. But we'll jump back to the front. So again, Hartigan has got to get another restart nailed as we're on 83 of 133 here tonight. The problem he now has is that the cars behind him know his tricks, of course. And that will help them out immensely, because they'll have seen what he's done in past restarts. It could give him a hint what he's going to do in the next restart, and it could hinder him. Foster, though, being up top, just behind Danny G, could he come into the mix? Just having a quick look at the temperatures. The track temperature's down to 27 now. Of course, track temperature dropping at night. And that lovely cool air as well, helping these cars go a little bit faster. And of course, helping the helping the engines get a little bit more air in them. Colder air is a little bit easier to get in there. Cools the engines down a bit more, makes everything a little bit nicer to drive, of course, and the track temperature being low will mean there's a little bit less wear on those tyres, and that can be a great help. So just having a little bit of a look through the grid, say Hamish Gallagher doing a great job at the moment up there in 7th position, gaining 21 positions so far this race. Another driver doing well again this race is that of Raymond Jaeger. Jaeger having a great season, been having some good consistent finishes and being up in that top 10, top 20 battle at the majority of the Cup races. Phil Otto there in 10th for the DPR team, sitting well at the moment. Mirko Dornak running out on his own in the 62. As I say, I apologise about the graphics, they are a little bit older. Of course, the Illusion Motorsport team wrapping up operations earlier this season. Rosie Johnson there in 13th position. Good debut for the ANZCAR series. Very good job getting up there in the top 20, especially up there in 13th position. Behind, they've got Michael Skurlock looking to come after them though. Skurlock is very hungry. Of course, we saw Skurlock go off earlier in the race, do a very good recovery drive. Down in 17th place, we have got Matt Hunter having a good run at the moment in the 48. Matt Hunter, of course, our former camera operator, of course, for the ANZCAR Cup Series. Racing in the Cup this year, though, and great to see. He's been having some good, consistent results and getting up there, getting the experience under the belt, which is the most important bit. But most importantly at the moment, Jason Hartigan still leads. He's going to be very happy about that, but he's going to want to not have any more pace cars come out, not going to want any more cautions to come out now as well, because they're just going to make it harder and harder for this race to go on and on. So as we come across, we'll be completing lap 86 of the race here tonight, of 133. We had a good green stint in the early stages of this race, but we've had 3 cautions in succession as we've come a little bit later on. The cars are going to start getting their positions side by side. 2 by 2 they come. At the moment, though, it will be Hartigan, Danny G, Josh Mickelmore-Foster, Stephen Clark, Jason Martin. So we've seen Stephen Clark have some good speed. We've seen Martin struggle on the restarts tonight. Will that happen again? Could Norman Clark jump into the mix here? Hamish Gallagher was like a greased whippet off that last restart as well. He could possibly gain some positions too. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Jason Hartigan, though, it's getting harder and harder for him to get those restarts because, of course, the drivers will start to know when he's going to drop it, where he's been putting it down. All things that can lead to a slight disadvantage for yourself as a driver. And of course, we'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight: Nationwide Tracking Systems, Abruzzi Australia, Track Racer, Race Management Services, and Track Cams for Gourmet. Unfortunately, we're not running the Gourmet cams tonight. That's trackcams22.com. Not running them tonight because I'm doing the stream, unfortunately. I don't have them all to hand, sadly, but they are fantastic. As we get back to the restart, Hartigan gets another good restart there. Getting away well, dropping the 2 cars behind him a little bit. Foster, though, getting caught up on the high line by Clark. He's getting pushed out high, and this is going to give Jason Martin the opportunity to start biting away at Foster. Foster now getting up high, getting a good draft behind Josh Micklemore. That's got him past Clark again. Foster now being hung up a little bit high. He needs to get that side draft working for him. He's going to want to try and get past Danny G here. Slot himself one place further ahead. Try and get ahead of those cars. Start breaking up the Mitch Motorsport cars. He's not going to manage it. Will he be able to slot in behind him? It looks like Clark's got a good position at the moment. There is just about a NASCAR-sized hole there, and Foster does take it. He's going to go down the inside line now. He's going to try and get a good draft behind Micklemore, which he's doing, and he's managed to get past Danny G for the moment. Danny G's probably going to get a little bit better drive off the corner here. Will Foster be able to hold him off? He's doing his best at the moment, seeing what he can do. If he can go a little bit further, he might be able to slot in front of Danny G and hold that position. The 33 there just going down the inside. I believe that's... sorry, 93, I think that was Riley Curtis. But Foster there making the move stick. Jason Martin getting another poor restart. He's dropped back a little bit further now towards the clasp of Hamish Gallagher. Meanwhile, Hartigan is in the lead. Danny G's looking racy still with Foster. It's hard to know where to look at the moment. Martin getting a good run on Clark there. He might get this move made. Looks like Martin's just been struggling on that restart. Possibly trying to get tyres up to temperature a little bit. Just struggling on that initial lap for pace. But once he's got past that, he's back to racing speed. Danny G as well now on Foster. Will he get the move made? Not quite yet. Martin does get the move stuck in on Stephen Clark though, getting himself ahead. Meanwhile, Hamish Gallagher's got Raymond Yeager and Michael Skurlock now coming back into the mix here. Skurlock going down the inside of Yeager. Hamish Gallagher coming down to defend the position. This gives Mirko Dortnack a good chance for a run up the inside. Jason Hartigan is running away with it at the moment. As you can see them going free wide there with Skurlock. Going down on the apron there as he's trying to get past Raymond Yeager. He's going to want to try and get the toe off of Hamish Gallagher right now. Try and get a little bit further ahead. But they're still side by side. You can see Norman Clark at the back there still trying to get in position. And he could get this made now. He's managed to slot himself in between Skurlock and Dortnack. He comes down the inside. They go free wide across the start-finish line. Norman Clark, Michael Skurlock and Raymond Yeager. Maybe a tiny bit of contact there between Clark and Skurlock. Nothing between the two cars though. It can get very tricky as you're coming across the lines there. Especially when the side draft starts kicking in. Side by side now. As we go a little bit further ahead, Foster is trying to catch down on Micklemore. We've got the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th place positions, all within a heartbeat of each other. Seeing some fantastic racing here. Mirko Dortnack getting a little bit wide there. You can see Jason Martin coming up on his teammate now. The 24 of Danny G has got the 21 just behind it. 53 of Foster looks to make a move on Micklemore. He's going to want to try and get in there and start being the tailgun Charlie for his teammate of Jason Hartigan. With every restart, we've seen Foster grab a position. Hopefully, we don't see any more cautions. We can see a good run to the end here with green flags. As we see Danny G getting a good run again. Danny G starting to come up behind Foster right now. Jason Martin sitting on his tail. Looks like Danny G might get this position. He's going to go down the inside of Foster. Will he make this one stick? Looks like he might do it. Foster needs to try and get the draft off of Micklemore in front of him. Come down on the nose of Danny G and just cut him off from doing it. Which he does perfectly. Precisely placing the car a little bit lower in the line. Foster seems to like running the midline here. That seems to be his preferred line. A couple of drivers running the low line like Jason Hartigan and Josh Micklemore. We've got Danny G and Stephen Clark side by side. Stephen Clark having to lift out of it though, which has let Jason Martin come through. Will Hamish Gallagher be able to pounce on this opportunity? Up in front, we've got Josh Micklemore catching on Jason Hartigan. A lapped car a little bit further ahead. This could come into play here tonight. Of course, lap cars don't have to give position. They're not obliged to give him, but the 56 gives plenty of room. Classy move there by the 56. Staying up high, giving those drivers a chance to get past as this battle for the lead continues. And Josh Micklemore is starting to make his move on Hartigan. He's trying his best to get up there. Doesn't quite make it, but he goes for the crisscross. He's coming down. Hartigan comes down and defends very hard across the line. Hartigan just coming across the nose of Micklemore there, stopping him from getting in front. Brilliant move from Jason Hartigan there, cutting Micklemore's chance of a run there. Now Danny G's got a bit of a run. He's got that draft. Will he be able to make it stick on Foster? They're going to go side by side once more into the corner. Foster is going to be forced to go up a little bit high here. You can see Josh Micklemore as well up in front. Similar thing. He's going to go underneath Jason Hartigan now. Hartigan coming down hard again on Micklemore. Really not wanting to give up that lead, Hartigan now, as we're on lap 99 of 133. The two of them are starting to pull away from Foster and Danny G at the moment. But it is a mighty battle up here between Hartigan and Micklemore as they joust for position. Micklemore seems to like to run that high line, which gives him a good bit of a run off the turn. Gives him the ability to run a little bit lower off the corner, while Hartigan likes to run a slightly lower line. He's managing to pull the car down, but that will start to affect his tyres at some stage because he's having to make a sharper turn. Meanwhile, Stephen Clark is catching on Danny G as Danny G and Edward Foster still battle it out for third and fourth position. Again, Micklemore swinging out wide. He's going to try and come underneath Jason Hartigan. If he can get his nose underneath there, he can make that move work. But he needs to critically get that nose underneath the car to make it work. Foster and Danny G again battling for position. We'll take a quick look at this from Danny G's point of view as he goes side by side with Foster. Will he make this one stick? No, he doesn't quite, but you can see up ahead the battle for the lead as well. The car's just running out a little bit wide so they can come down a little bit harder, a little bit lower across the start-finish line. Gain themselves a little bit of extra speed by doing that. Try for the crisscross. Now it looks like Micklemore is going to make the move on Hartigan, and it looks like he might have made it stick. He's got underneath and he's got in front of Hartigan. Will Hartigan be able to get back here? He's side by side across the back straight. Hartigan just having a moment there, blinking slightly. But Hartigan's managed to get underneath Micklemore. Will he be able to make his move back to first place here? They're side by side as they go across the line. Barely anything between the two. Hartigan has got his nose just slightly ahead of Micklemore at the moment. Who will come out in the lead? As these two battle though, it's going to give those cars behind a chance to catch up as long as they stop fighting. They are side by side as they come into turns 3 and 4. And you just see how close these guys are. You can't even see Micklemore off the right rear of the car. Despite that being the place he is, you can see it now, just that little bit of the car in the background there. You can see how close these guys are getting as well. So very, very close to each other. Barely anything in it. Micklemore getting a good run off the corner. He's going to be up high as well. This could give him a better drive off the turn. Get him in front of Hartigan again. Hartigan, though, seems to like that low line, but Micklemore has done it. After 3 or 4 laps of battling for that position, Micklemore has finally taken the lead. Brilliant driving there. Absolutely fantastic battle we're seeing there. Hartigan, though, is not going to want to make this one. He's not giving it up. He's going back down the inside. Micklemore has that outside line to go. Again, how will it work out for him? We'll jump on board with Hartigan. You can see Micklemore in front. Micklemore able just to get a little bit more speed across the start-finish line by taking that higher line up the turn. Hartigan going for that slightly lower line, giving himself a little bit more pace in the corner. Looks like he's starting to drop back a little bit though. Looks like maybe he's cooked his tyres a little bit. Hartigan definitely dropping off a little bit of Micklemore there. It was very hard battling. And it will only take a minute mistake by Micklemore or just the slightest lift and he will be right back to battling. As we speak, Michael Skurlock's now coming into the picture, working his way back from that earlier incident. The 350's coming up onto the tail of Danny G and Edward Foster. Will he be able to get himself into the mix for the rest of this race? Not got much further to go as we're on lap 108 of 133 as we cross the line this time. Jason Hartigan getting a good run here on Josh Micklemore. He goes down the inside of Micklemore once again. Will he be able to make this one stick? They're side by side as they go through turns 1 and 2. This is fantastic racing we're seeing here. The 031 and the 051 and the 31 here battling it out, giving us some great action tonight, making my job much easier. Apparently we've got a slight delay in commentary. I apologise about that. Not sure what's going on there. It should be all together, but hopefully things will start to catch back up again. As Hartigan's made the move back to first place, but Micklemore goes back underneath him and takes the lead once more. Hartigan's going for the crisscross. He gets underneath Micklemore. They are almost touching as they go into the start-finish straight side by side now. There's barely a cigarette paper between them in time. Foster, though, is getting that run on them. As Micklemore gets right on the back of Hartigan there. But Hartigan's managed to get back in the lead. Now Foster's coming into the mix. He's trying to get onto the back of Micklemore. As they start to settle down again, Jason Hartigan is in the lead. Josh Micklemore going down the inside of Hartigan again. They are back at it. It's only been a couple of laps. They're not giving each other much time to relax here tonight. As Hartigan is back down the inside, Micklemore just leads it across the line that time as we're on lap 113 of 133. Only 20 laps to go here. Foster's looking pretty good as well. Hartigan manages to get back out in front though. And a big moment for Hartigan there. He's got dropped back. Hartigan having a big moment that this has allowed Foster to get up there ahead of Micklemore. Now Foster, Micklemore and Danny G are battling for the lead. Will Hartigan manage to get back into the action? It's going to be pretty hard from here. Side by side right now. The Mitch Motorsport team are working together, pushing along. You've got Danny G pushing Josh Micklemore, trying to give him that little bit of extra speed as they come up on another lap car. Danny G just having to drop down a little bit now, getting out the draft of his teammate. This lap car could be critical here for the lead of the race. Josh Micklemore managing to get down in front of Foster. As lap car gets out the way very well, Foster's got a bit of a run on Micklemore now. He's going to go up high. This is going to give Skurlock a chance as well. He slots in behind Foster. Fantastic move there by Skurlock, getting himself in between Danny G and Foster. He's going to get a run now on Josh Micklemore. Jason Martin is now also up there. Foster and Micklemore side by side. Skurlock down the inside as well. It is neck and neck right now as they come across the line for lap 117. Foster just leads it that time round. If he can keep it there to the end of the race, he'll be pretty happy. He manages to get a little bit further ahead. Will he have space to slot down? He does. He's managed to slot down in front of Micklemore. Foster now becoming that lead car, giving the people behind him a bit of a draft, allowing them just to get a little bit of a run. What he wants to see happen, though, is for them to start battling it out with each other. If they start doing that, this could give him a chance to run away with it. Danny G trying to get a little bit of a move done. The Mitch Motorsport cars sitting line abreast there. We've got Skurlock on the outside. Jason Martin going a little bit wide. That's going to allow Jason Hartigan to get back onto his tail. Give him a little bit of a slipstream. Raymond Yeager as well coming up there. As we see Josh Micklemore making a move on Skurlock now. It's been move after move after move. This is some fantastic racing. And Skurlock has managed to get that second place. Now he's going to move looking on to Foster. Will he be able to get that move done? The Mitch Motorsport boys are in a pack from third to fifth position fifth position at the moment. Jason Hartigan managing to get back there, though. He's running up there. He's going to want to try and get back in there as he gets in front of Raymond Yeager. Foster now having to battle with Skurlock. Will Skurlock be able to get back in the lead of this race? A lead that he had so many laps ago. A lead that he fell out of as he went across the infield section. The two Jasons are back battling nose to tail, and this is getting Jason Hartigan in front of Danny G as well. Foster just having to lift out there slightly. Gives Michael Skurlock a bit of a look down the inside. Skurlock side by side with Foster. They almost make contact there. So very close to each other. Great driving there. And oh, Hartigan's round! Hartigan is round! A huge smash for Jason Hartigan. That is heartbreak for Hartigan there. Let's see if we can jump back and see that one. See what happened there for Hartigan. Hartigan going down the inside of Danny G there as they come onto the start-finish straight. You can see Foster and Skurlock almost making contact there. I'd be surprised if they didn't, actually. It was so very close. Looks like Raymond Yeager's just caught Hartigan on the back, spun him around. Big crash for Hartigan. That is absolute heartbreak for him. As the leaders come into pit lane, Foster leading them in. The battle for pit lane starts once again. The race off pit road. Who will win it this time round? This could be an absolutely crucial moment for these guys. Whoever gets this pit stop working is going to come out in the lead of this race. You can see the stop times coming along. Who's going to get out first? Does anyone gamble with just taking two tyres? Looks like Foster's going to make it out in first. Foster does. Skurlock second. Then the Mitch Motorsport cars are so close together. Martin, Danny G, Yeager, Clark with an E. So very close there. Ayrton Smith up into 10th place as well. Whew, gives me a chance to recover now from that. But at the moment, Foster is going to lead Skurlock. Now you can see there as well, there's a bit of damage, I think, on the front of Skurlock's car. I think that might have been from earlier in the race. The cars are getting a little bit scratched now. There's a couple of little dents and dings on these cars. Unfortunately, I think we're not going to be seeing Hartigan back up there. I think he's going to be quite far back and not going to be able to get the position he, well, say he deserves tonight. He gave us some fantastic racing out there. We saw some brilliant moves out there, some real close racing. As we're on lap 122 of 133, almost 10 laps to go here at Kentucky Speedway for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. A gaggle of cars behind the pace car once again as they manage to get a lap back for themselves. Always handy to get that lap back. It does make things a little bit easier, of course. It gives a little bit of respite for them. The good thing about this, though, is it's going to mean our leaders are going to have a clean track in front of them. It's going to be about a 7-8 lap shootout here tonight as they come across the line once the pace car puts its lights out and we go back to green flag racing. I hope everybody's enjoying this coverage in this race tonight. We are seeing some fantastic action out there, and of course thank you so much for joining us as well. I do apologise about the stream being slightly iffy tonight, running everything by myself tonight, so doing a lot of multitasking, which is not the easiest thing to do up here. Especially for me. But we have seen some fantastic racing out there. Some real close racing as well between the top 6, top 7 cars, really. It's been neck and neck. Hamish Gallagher's worked his way up to 7th. He's sitting there just behind Raymond Yeager. And we've seen Gallagher has had some good restarts. Jason Martin is sitting in 5th place. He's had a couple of horror restarts tonight. Will he be able to make this last one a good one? 10 laps to go here at Kentucky for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. Anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. What are we going to see here at the end? The view from the leader at the moment of Foster as those lapped cars are going to be able to get back around and back onto the tail of this train of cars. Very shortly the pace car will let them by. You can see it now. Foster's now going to get up behind the pace car and lead away for his first restart of the night. Foster's been sitting back there a little bit further back on these restarts. So this will be the first time he's got a clear track in front of him. Michael Skurlock's going to be sitting just behind him, however, and we've seen Skurlock has been incredibly racy out there tonight. Fantastic job from these guys. Skurlock doing that brilliant recovery drive as well, getting back up there. And you can see that bit of damage on the front of Skurlock's car there as well. It's got a little bit of a wrinkle in it. Not too much, luckily, though, so that shouldn't cause too much issue. We've definitely seen pace in that vehicle, so I doubt we're going to see any issue there.
Hang on, we're not going green.
And we've got a moment out. We were going to go green then, but something has happened. Something's happened a little bit further down the field, or somebody's gone off, something like that. So we're going to have a couple of caution laps here. just showing you the results down to 25th at the moment. Some serious good recovery drives tonight. It's been a lot of stories out there tonight. I think it's been almost like 4 races for these drivers tonight. It's been one heck of a grueling one. Pace car's lights goes out. We should be green this time around. 8 laps to go here at Kentucky. Who will take victory here tonight? That is the big question. And down in 17th position is Jason Hartigan, the leader for so much of this race, Hartigan. He's on the lead lap, so that's some form of commiseration, but I imagine he's got quite a bit of damage. You can see on the rear of that car, a lot of damage there. He took a heavy hit into the wall, so not going to be too fast for him, I imagine. He's going to try his best, no doubt. We'll jump to the overhead cameras, though, as we're about to go back to green flag racing. The JP Simshed car will lead the Pace Syndicate car of Michael Skurlock, Edward Foster in the E53 car. Then 2 Mitch Motorsport cars behind him. Well, 3 if you count Jason Martin. And Foster's going to put his foot on the floor soon. When will he do it? When will he do it? He does it now and gets a good drive off the line. He's managed to get away quite well, dropping Skurlock back into the grasps of Josh Micklemore. The cars are side by side as Josh Micklemore starts to fight back on Skurlock. He gets underneath the car. This is going to allow Danny G to get there as well. Danny G working his way up. Josh Micklemore just boxing in Skurlock there. Their teammates working well, then helping each other out just to get a little bit of a position up. And they're going to try and fight their way up the track now, as we see somebody going off in the background. Will we get a caution? No, we don't. We've got 3 wide as... 3 wide again as Josh Micklemore takes the lead with Danny G. Foster dropping back to 4th position now as Jason Martin gets underneath him. Will Jason Martin get past? Got Josh Micklemore back in the lead. Skurlock on the outside with Foster. Those two need to start trying to make some pace up as we've only got 6 laps to go. Foster's dropped back from 1st to 5th, 6th at the moment. It's so very close. If he can get a good run here, though, he'll be looking good. But there are 3 Mitch Motorsport cars in front of him. Raymond Yeager just on his tail. As Danny G gets a good run. As we see a car off on the infield there. 3 wide again for the Mitch Motorsport cars. Foster having to just make a little bit of avoiding action on Danny G there. But Josh Micklemore has got the lead at the moment. 3 wide into turn number 1. Foster going to have to drop down a little bit here. Try and get that side draft working for him. Raymond Yeager getting a good run now. These cars getting a great run. Danny G dropping down to the inside of Jason Martin. They're trying to get past his teammate. A little bit of a check up there from Jason Martin. Just a little bit of drop off of pace. It's causing Danny G to slow down a little bit. These cars are all over the place at the moment. Trying to get that position up. It is frantic and furious here at the front of the front of the field. As Raymond Yeager goes a bit wide. Catches Skurlock. Skurlock getting caught behind. Jason Martin now on Josh Micklemore. Danny G fighting between Foster. Battles all across the track now. Foster's getting a good run here. Can't count out the DPR cars either. They are starting to climb their way up with Stephen Williams and Phil Otto. There's lots of teams racing for position now. As Norman Clark comes up down the inside. He's going to go down the inside of Danny G. Will he make this one stick? Not quite. Danny G and Foster very close there, side by side. Jason Martin on his teammate, trying to take that first place position from him. They're neck and neck as they go down the straight there. 2 laps to go. We're almost on the white flag lap. Foster and Danny G side by side. Micklemore and Martin side by side. Martin going up high, trying to get the cut underneath, trying to do the scissor cut underneath him. as we come round for the Hybrid Racing Solutions white flag lap. Josh Micklemore is in the lead with Jason Martin just behind him. The two go side by side once more. Danny G getting a good run. This is going to give Foster a good tow. Will it be enough or will it be too little too late? Looks like Josh Micklemore is going to have that inside line. Jason Martin on the outside. There you go, across the line, and Jason Martin takes the win by a whisker there. Josh Micklemore second, Edward Foster third, Danny G fourth. What a battle for the final moments of that race. Forgive me as I take a few sips of water. Jason Martin taking a fantastic victory there, coming from the back almost of that group of cars to take the win. The 21 there taking a fantastic victory. Got to say, real heartbreak for Jason Hartigan, who finished down in 17th position. Josh Micklemore managed to snatch second place as they come through the pit lane. Jason Martin, though, doing his victory burnouts. Well-deserved burnouts as well. What a brilliant win. But that was some fantastic racing we got there. Absolute brilliant stuff. As he goes down on the grass, spins it round, we'll pull up the results as Martin's engine blows. The proper way to do victories burnouts is to blow the engine. Jason Martin taking it by 0.078 of a second. Nothing between those cars there. First place, Jason Martin. Josh Micklemore second. Mitch Motorsport 1, 2. Edward Foster third place. He had a good position but just got caught out in the end there. He tried his best. Third place though for Edward Foster. Danny G in fourth for Mitch Motorsport. A very strong evening for them again. Raymond Yeager in fifth place with Stephen Williams in sixth for DPR. As I say, I'm sorry about the graphics. They are slightly out of date. Norman Clark in seventh with Stephen Clark in eighth. A great position for Stephen Clark to finish in. Another strong result for him in the ANZCAR series. Michael Skurlock managed to salvage ninth place in the end. An unlucky ninth for him. Ayrton Smith managing to get 10th place. I believe his first time in the top 10 from my memory. 11th place was Mirko Dortnack with Hamish Gallagher 12th. Phil Otto in 13th place with Parry Anatakias in 14th. 15th was Devon Stove with Rossi Johnson in 16th. A good debut for Johnson there. Getting in the top 20 in the first race, that is a tricky thing to do. Jason Hartigan, heartbreak there, finishing in 17th place in the end. Danny Albon in 18th. Nathan Clive 19th and Riley Curtis in 20th. 21st was Bradley Allison with Patterson in 22nd. Aidan Schultz 23rd. 24th Roger Clark. Matthew Clerk 25th. Tristan Koch 26th. 27th was Darren Brumfield with 28th Matt Hunter. Michael Shaw 29th. Braden Bartlett 30th. Mick Wilson in 31st. Billy Hickey in 32nd. And Lachlan, unfortunately 33rd, went out very early on in that race. So we'll try and grab our top three for a bit of a quick chat as I try and find my Discord box. Let's see who we can get here tonight. So we'll wait for people to start shuffling up in the box. I'll grab down our winner, Jason Martin. Jason Martin Cole with you here for the JP Simshed broadcasting of the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. Congratulations on that very, very close, very, very narrow finish.
Oh my God, can I breathe yet? Oh, that was awesome.
It took me a while to get my breath back from calling that last 30 or so laps. It was pretty full on there for the end of the race.
Well, that was awesome fun.
It looked like you were struggling a little bit with the restarts tonight. You're sort of sitting back there in about fifth position for most of the night, but at the end you managed to get back up there at the front. Obviously, fantastic drive. How was it for you?
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of struggled on the long runs. I always have trouble here for some reason, but on a short run, I knew I could go quicker, but I was trying to save a little because I knew I was so bad on a long run. So when we had that short run at the end, it definitely suited me.
Absolutely, we got some fairly long runs, but those cautions came out towards the end. We had a few caution periods, and it sort of got you back up into contention there. That last pit stop obviously helped you out quite a bit, though.
Yeah, it sure did. I knew with just about 7 or 10 laps, whatever it was to go, I knew I had a pretty good chance. But yeah, if it was any longer than that, I would have just dropped back because I was really struggling.
Yes, well, obviously at the beginning of the race, it was a battle of the two Jasons with yourself and Hartigan there. You pretty much were battling all race long, weren't you, you guys up the front?
Yeah, pretty much the whole race was awesome fun.
It was brilliant to watch. Thank you so much for that performance. I'll let you get off, but before you go, just let you do your shout outs and anyone to mention for tonight, Jason.
Yeah, I thank all the drivers for putting on one hell of a race. That was great fun. Got to thank ANZCAR for the series. The boys at Mitch Motorsports are almost so close to a top 3 again. BK Designs. And of course, you guys at JP Simshed for putting on a broadcast.
Well, if you give us races like that, I'm more than happy to broadcast them. It does take a toll on the voice box, though. Obviously, Josh Mickelmore will be streaming tonight, of course. Any words from him that you think you'd like to say?
He might jump in soon, I'm not sure. I'll try and get him to jump in.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Jason. And hopefully we'll catch you again before the end of the season. Of course, this is going to help you towards the chase as well. You're sitting in 5th place coming into this race, and this is going to help you solidify that position, of course.
Yeah, sure will.
Right, thank you so much, Jason. And congratulations again for the Mitch Motorsport 1-2.
Cheers, mate. Time for a nice cold drink.
Enjoy, mate. Jason Martin there for Mitch Motorsport. We'll grab down the 3rd place man, Edward Foster, now. Edward Foster, Carl Withy here for JP Simshed Broadcasting. Congratulations on that 3rd place. One heck of a race there at the end between, well, the top sort of 8 places.
Yeah, wasn't that a good bit of fun? I mean, all the boys, sort of patting each other on the back after that. It was a really good race. It's, we had a really good quality field out there tonight. So many good drivers who you could sort of run with and trust and everything else. And, it was just an absolute blast, those last few laps. Not even after that last caution, but the last 2 stints of the race were just really, really awesome fun. It's why that kind of thing is why we all race stock cars. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic to watch from the broadcast position. My voice might not make it through tomorrow, though, from that calling. We saw yourself getting up into the front there for that final caution period. Was that a little bit of a hindrance, though, for you, being up at the front, giving the others a bit of a draft?
Look, I think it would have proven to be eventually. I mean, my biggest problem is I came out of 4 and I got a little bit sideways. These tyres do take a couple of laps to sort of get up to temperature, and I was obviously pushing as hard as I could and probably didn't take the best line that I could have done out of there, and just asked a little bit too much of the rears, and the back end just squirreled around a little bit, and I had to get out of the throttle to catch it, and that's what brought the other guys up past me. But I think that what you saw happen there probably would have happened a couple of laps later anyway, because those boys all had the draft and were sort of, your teammates there, they were running together and stuff, so I knew they were going to make a big push past me at some point, and at least this way, with them going by me early, I got the opportunity to kind of have a run back at them and have another crack at get back to the front. In the end, came up just short, but had some awesome racing with all those guys. So I'm not disappointed at all. It was just an awesome race to be in. It's just fortunate I was able to be up there and be part of it.
Well, I hope you enjoy watching the replay of that one. I'm sure you will. There was some fantastic action out there. I just got to mention your teammate Jason Hartigan there. Absolute heartbreak towards the end there. He had a fantastic race, leading pretty much most of it there. Just an unfortunate little incident getting caught up there, but fantastic result again for the JP Simshed boys. Of course, your first season in ANZCAR. So obviously, you must be quite happy about the team running up there at the front and taking it to Mitch Motorsport.
Yeah, I mean, it was really unfortunate for Jace because he was probably the guy to beat all night, I think. I mean, Mickelmore had a lot of pace. Jason Martin had sort of came on strong towards the end. He didn't look overly quick at the start or the middle, but you never quite know with Jace whether he's kind of hanging back and conserving something for the end. Of course, Skurlock had that fight back from all the way back to come back up to where he was. There were just so many good performances out there, and unfortunately, Jace Hartigan didn't get rewarded for it because he kind of got into a little bit of shove with Mickelmore, which certainly I was right behind it, and there was nothing untoward there at all. It was just one of those racing things which sent him back a little way, and then unfortunately, it looks like Raymond Yagist made a bit of an error and just basically turned him round. So really unfortunate for him. He deserved a lot better from it. But yeah, he'll bounce back stronger as he always does. As for the team, yeah, I mean we're very happy. We've got obviously 3 very experienced drivers in the team, and we've got a couple of new guys in Hartigan and Urquhart as well. So I mean it's been you almost forget sometimes how quickly this all came together, and what we've achieved already. We got the Xfinity Championship earlier on in the year with Jason, and we've had wins, had the Daytona 500, and Lockie got a ANZCRL truck title not that long ago as well. So we've had a immense amount of success for such a young team, and it's just going from strength to strength. And yeah, I mean, as you say, it's great to be able to get up the front and challenge the Mitch guys as well, because of course each one of those drivers are absolutely top level. There's no weak links in that chain. And so to be able to get up there and get amongst them is really good fun. And when you're battling those guys, it's always going to be a good, hard but pretty clean race as well. So yeah, pleased all round, really good.
Yeah, congratulations. Before I let you go, shout outs and all that usual stuff.
Yeah, of course. We've got to give a shout out, don't we, to the sponsors who put the names on the car and make it all happen, make it all possible. So Goodyear, of course, Goodyear Auto Care Warana, which have generously allowed me to run the livery on my car. But we've got a Brutzy Racewear as well, Track Racer, Dragon RC, Drive Sim, Nationwide Tracking Systems, Cars for Hope, all of those guys. So yeah, fantastic to be able to give those guys, I guess, a little bit of exposure by running up the front and having some really good racing.
I did think your livery had changed. Yeah, I didn't really get time to talk about that, though, in that race. There was too much action going on.
It's only changed slightly. There was just a little bit of an update in the number font. So that's the only thing that's different. But it has been different for a couple of races. It's just, I think that perhaps the lighting here at Kentucky isn't necessarily the best.
No worries. Thank you so much, Ed. I'm sure we'll catch you in the booth again. It's looking strong for the chase for you.
Yeah, mate, we should be fairly safely into it now. We're well over halfway through the season and sort of sitting up where we are. And of course, we've got drop rounds to come into play as well. But I would certainly expect to be sort of sitting in the top 5 going into the chase, which is great. Unfortunately, I've got all these really fast guys around me who I've got to try and beat. But we'll just keep plugging away and keep improving and keep working hard, and we'll hopefully be there at the end.
No worries. Thank you so much, Ed. Edward Foster there for JP Simshed. We'll grab down Josh Mickelmore, our second place getter there. Josh Mickelmore for Mitch Motorsport. Congratulations on that second place. And boy, what a race there towards the end.
Oh, mate, what a hell of a race, wasn't it?
Well, I say towards the end, I mean, pretty much your whole race was side by side with somebody, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, that last half of the race, we're battling with Hartigan there, lap after lap, and then unfortunately we got together and whatever. And then Edward, and then Martin and Daniel, and we had it all.
Yeah, I was going to ask you quickly. Of course, you had that little touch with Hardigan. It just looked like the slightest of touches between you guys. Did you touch anyone else out there as well tonight? Because you got very close to a couple of people tonight. It was so close between you guys out there, though.
Yeah, no, it was only one touch with Hardigan going into 3 there, and unfortunately that gave us a fair bit of right front damage that affected my aero there at the end. But apart from that, no, I didn't hit anyone else, so it's good to race hard and clean like that with numerous different drivers there.
Well, absolutely. You were fighting a cavalcade of drivers there. There was about 8 drivers towards the end who were fighting, well, 9 I think, because Skurlock was up there as well, fighting for that P1 position from about lap 30 onwards. Great drive from yourself, though, and you must be happy with Mitch Motorsport getting a 1-2 and Danny G down there in 4th place as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, there's no team orders here at the end of the race and stuff, so, we'll race hard and that. But, yeah, it's sick that Jace got the win. Close racing, it was good fun. Daniel, got 4th, which is really good for the team. We got 3 cars in the top 4. Unfortunately, we haven't actually got a 1, 2, 3 in the Cup Series at all yet. We're very close for that, but 3 of the cars in the top 4. You can't complain about that.
No, you've got to be happy about that one. I'm sure that 1, 2, 3 will come eventually for you. Just quickly as well, just let the people know that you've got a Twitch channel.
Yeah, so I stream most of the racing I do on iRacing and that. If you guys want to come see me do a bit of live driving, come follow me on twitch.tv/Mitchy31. That's my Twitch channel, Mitchy31. So be sure to jump on, guys, and give us a follow for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting the replay from this race, I imagine it would be some great action from on board there.
Oh, mate, yeah. The chat was going off there at the end of the race there, but it was real close. But that was wicked fun. Wicked fun.
No, congratulations again. Before I let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, it's the other boys, Mitch Motorsports, Jason, Dan, killer job again tonight, guys. And our sponsors as well, BK Designs, for all the design work he does for myself and the team. And Nexus Esports, American team that I sort of pop in and do a few NASCAR races in the American servers with them boys. And you, Carol, for putting on the broadcast tonight, since JP's having a bit of issues. So,
thanks
for that, mate.
It was a little bit of a last moment thing, unfortunately, but we managed to get there in the end. I'm pretty sure my voice is going to die any moment, though. So congratulations on that win, and thank you for giving us such a fantastic race out there for yourself and everybody else out there up the front tonight and all throughout the field.
No worries, buddy. Cheers.
See you, Josh. Bye-bye. Josh Mickelmore there for Mitch Motorsport. Fantastic win there for Jason Martin, of course. Great racing there towards the end. Next time we're going to be at New Hampshire, 150 laps at New Hampshire, so a little bit of a different track again, some different action, and as I say, we're getting closer and closer to the chase. We're only a few races off now, 5 races to go until we get to the chase. First round will be Darlington on August 27th. Of course, New Hampshire will be on July 16th, and that will be here on Simshed Broadcasting, of course. Hopefully, it will be a little bit less hectic to get everything running together. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you all next time. I hope you all enjoyed that race because it was one heck of one. Until next time, this is me, Carl Withy, signing off. Bye-bye.